Hi guys, this is Chico Pinheiro, and I'm here to talk about some subjects related to music, related to this instrument. So this is an overview about the Brazilian rhythm for guitar. And I think, and I hope it helps you to play with in a more comfortable way, because there's plenty of different rhythms there, and each one of them has its particularities, has its own way of playing, like own accents. And I think if you pay attention to each one of them, you're gonna find a lot in common. So once you get into all these rhythms, you're gonna find that you can kind of relate, even though they're very different, you can relate all of them in the same way, kind of the same accent, kind of like the Brazilian accent. It's very important to say that it's very different than jazz because they are all based on the downbeats, which is very important. Even before you play the first note, you have to be aware of that. So I hope that helps. I'm gonna start showing you a couple of different kinds of bossa nova, which is basically a rhythm that João Gilberto invented in the 60s, like a late 50s. And okay, so the first one is so as you can see, my thumb, it's always hitting the downbeat, never anything different than that. So I'm doing which is the surdo roll. The surdo normally, it's always a translation from the percussion to the instrument. So the surdo, which is a big drum, does a pum, 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 1, 2, open. And the tambourine, which is a very small drum, does what we do with our other fingers. So basically what João Gilberto did is combining both. So the thumb doing what the surdo is supposed to do at the percussion, as a percussion, and the other fingers doing what the tambourine would do, and they, in combining both, would do we would do tamborim, surdo. So that's the first one. It's the first kind of bossa nova, excuse me. The second one, it's when you have it's a pattern. So it's always this pattern. There are some variations that you can use. So it's pretty much the pattern is. This is the main pattern. Then you can add some variations. But you're still with the pattern, at the background, right? So you have always this pattern that boom, 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 boom. This is the second kind of bossa nova. When you're playing with a band, you don't have to play the whole thing because the bass probably is gonna get the surdo part. Remember, where we do with the thumb. Instead of doing what we do when we are playing solo, we can do just the timbring, which is like, and the bass gets, and we can do, so we can do like this, like a bit more free, in other words, like a, get this. This kind of stuff. The next rhythm that I want to show you, it's samba. Just again, there is more than one type of samba. Like there is a couple of variations, but the basic is like a. This is the basic, right? This is the basic samba, but so like a, if you play it faster, would be like a. Basic samba, great. So, but you have some variations again. Like for instance, like when you're playing medium tempo, when you're playing a medium tempo samba, you can like kind of like a subdivide and have some like a kind of like a syncopations that might be very interesting. Like a Baden Powell used to do a lot, which we call samba teleco-teco, because it's like a tec tec teleco tec tec. Teleco-teco. Samba teleco-teco, which is a really cool samba. It works normally at medium tempo. It's not gonna work when you're playing fast. Like a fast tempos, no samba teleco-teco. Like we go pretty much straight. Another very good tip, very important tip that I wanna talk about is that when you're playing in a kind of ensemble situation, you don't have to do all this. This is kind of for solo, right? Solo situations. When you're playing with a bass player and with a drummer, normally people, when a lot of students, like they play much more that we need, you know, like in a much more complicated way. Like it's much more simple than you think, because we have all covered by our musical mates, like the bass and the drums. So in other words, like if we're playing the same tune with the bass, I wouldn't play like this. I wouldn't play. I wouldn't play like this. B. First of all, I don't have to play the bass, right? And second of all, I don't have to play the whole groove. It's like a clock. When you put everything together, it works perfectly, believe me. It's gonna work perfectly. So if you play just upbeats, it's gonna work. You know, even though I remember I was talking about a Brazilian music, it's all about the downbeat, which it is. But if you play upbeats, it's gonna work just fine. So if you have a bass player, as I played, if you have a bass player and a drummer playing with you, again, we don't have to play the whole thing, but with them, it's gonna work perfectly. I'm gonna show you with the click, you know. So, 1, 2, 1. So, as you can see, I didn't play at all the bass, because the bass player has it, of course. Besides that, I'm gonna get in his way if I'm playing the bass with him. So we don't do that. Most people, a lot of people, they're students or people that are learning to play. I know it's difficult, you know. It's easier when you play the whole thing, the whole groove. And once you learn, when you first learn something, it's easy before you break it, you know, it's easy to play. It's easier to play just the way you learned. But you have to be aware that playing with a band is a completely different story than playing by yourself. And it wouldn't be different with Brazilian music. So this is the way I play normally, and it doesn't matter how fast it is, you know. It doesn't matter if you have a So the same thing, you know, it doesn't matter, it can be a fast, can be the concept is the same. You're gonna just do that little part that it's your role, you know, in the clock, which is kind of basically upbeats, right? But there's something interesting, that if you're playing with other harmonic instrument, like for instance another guitar or piano player, learn the piano, it's kind of in Brazilian music the harmonic part, the harmonic role is very, very different than in jazz. Why is that? Because in jazz the tempo carriers are basically the bass and drums, right? You have the drums and the bass, and then with the exception of in big bands, you know, you have the guitar or the piano doing just some flourishing things, but not carrying the tempo in the way if you're playing jazz, you would play But of course, you have to swing, you have to have a good tempo. But the ones that are carrying the tempo is the drums and bass. It's different in Brazilian music. Why? Because the guitar or the piano, they're a very important part of this mechanism, the tempo carriers, kind of they are part of the groove. you know, like a, and so, and most of the time you have another, like a, you have another guitar player or a piano player, you know, like you have more than one, like you have cavaquinho. So how can you, like don't clash, you know, like playing together, and how can you like sort of like complement, playing in a complementary, like a kind of like a way to this guy or to these guys. You know? So I'm gonna show you. So we have this first instrument with that, your friend. It has to be a friend, right? Necessarily. So I'm not gonna do the same thing, right? I know what he's doing or her, what she's doing. So what I'm gonna do is like just do something complementary. If I play it has to be like a very precise, what we call on top of the beat, which is different. Like you can be like kind of laid back. Playing Brazilian music, you can be laid back, but if you're playing with like a more than one harmonic instrument, you have to be very, very precise on like in the middle of the beat. You know, like if you would have like a magnifying lenses, the beat being like this, you have to hit in the middle. Like that's the ideal. You know, like, and again, like it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to groove. You know, like so like if I'm doing in the upbeats, the second could be like a. This kind of stuff, you know, like you can experiment like if you're practice with your friend, and with a friend, and do that, you know. It's samba funk, which is it's cool too. It's different. So remember, samba being like a. So samba funk. So you have, okay, slower. You have like a, again, upbeats. So this is the basic samba funk rhythm. So what's the difference? The main difference is the bass, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, anticipated 1, 2, 3, 4, pat, kutum kum, kat, kutum pum, tek kum pat, kutum pum, pum pat, kutum pum, tekan kutum tap, kutum pum, tap, kutum tum, tap, This kind of stuff, you know, like, it's hard. No, it's not hard. You just have to think, first of all, like before you even play the first note, you have to think about the downbeats. Remember that, that's very important. Think about downbeats. It doesn't matter what you do, like upbeats, you can do like a broken, whatever, you know, like a polyrhythms, whatever you want to do, but like think about downbeats. And this kind of like a surdo tamborim thing, like a surdo, thumb, tamborim, like a 3 fingers, and then you can combine different stuff with that. You know, this is basic, but this is open. This opens like a wide, you know, like a palette of possibilities for you as far as Brazilian music, because it's all related. It all came from the same place. You know, like there's a lot of Angola, of course, Africa, but at the same time there's a lot of Africa, but a lot of the rhythms that we are talking about, they were created in Brazil. Like the next one that we're going to talk about, which is Ijexá, Afoxé. It's kind of like a combination of different rhythms from Africa that they first met in Brazil, because they were from different places, right? So Ijexá is a different one. So I'm going to show now the Ijexá, which is from Bahia, right? From Bahia. And again, remember that all these rhythms, all the rhythms that we are applying on the guitar, on the instrument, they are translations of how they're played on percussions. So like what we are doing here is just like a breaking, you know, the rhythms that like a play by like a surdo, whatever, like a chequerê or tamborim or pandeiro or whatever, like and then whatever percussion you have like on the particular instrument, and then applying on the guitar, try to translate these rhythms to the guitar. A good thing to do is like try to write tunes, try to learn the rhythms and try to apply on the tunes that you already know, like a set of chord changes that you know, and try to see how it feels like, you know, like so that's the best way to learn and to really like internalize like any kind of rhythm, like applying to changes that you already know. So that's gonna be really helpful for you. So I'm gonna play the Ijexá rhythm, which is basically like a It's a very beautiful rhythm. I love this rhythm. Partido alto, which is kind of a variation of samba, but where you accent like a kind of a different tempos. Again, like there's a lot of variations, like they're similar to each other but not the same. So like a partido alto would be like this. So this rhythm, it's very cool. The difference between this rhythm and samba is that samba we don't have the tum pa tum 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 cha tum tum ah ta. cum, ah, pum, pum, ah, cum, pum, ah, pum, pum. Samba is just like a partido, pá, pum, 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 pá, tum, samba, partido, pá, pum. So this pá, pum, pum, pum makes it a little bit different. So again, you can apply this to any changes you want, you know, like a teleco-teco, partido, teleco-teco, partido. So you can like a kind of you can interchange, like it's kind of interchangeable, like a lot of these rhythms are interchangeable. You can start like with Ijexá for Xé, and then like the claves are kind of like similar, you know, like there's a lot of different claves, but they're similar. So like you can mess around with, like, with all these rhythms in a very fun way. You know, I have a teacher that used to say that it's not because it's serious that cannot be fun, and it's not because it's fun that it can be serious. So like you can have both, right? So this is kind of serious, but it's fun at the same time. The next rhythm that I want to talk about is Baião, which is a rhythm from the northeast part of Brazil. You know, like many different rhythms from Brazil, they come from the northeast part of Brazil, which it's a very rich kind of region as far as diversity, right? And then we have Baião, which like a very important name to check out is Luis Gonzaga, right? A very wonderful, great genius, like a accordiονist, and which is the basic rhythm of Baião. You know, there's many variations. That's only the main thing. I mean, one of the basic rhythms of Baião is like. Then you can add some. So this is the basic rhythm of Baião, right? Again, you can apply on any set of chord changes. This is the basic. So just to give an idea how it works, which is like a again, we have zabumba, we have the triangle, we have the basic, like a trio, you know, like for that, the basic ensemble for that kind of music is like accordion, zabumba, which is like, again, is the big drum that you have with a bacalhau. It's a different kind of drumming, you know, like you have a stick, but the stick it's different. It's kind of like flexible, and you hit it in the bottom of the drums, like it's like a double head drums. And you have two kinds of sticks. One which is the bacalhau that you hit the bottom, and the other one you hit the top with kind of a mallet or something, like a boom. So it's and you have the triangle too. So this is the Baião. The next rhythm that I'm going to talk about is frevo, which is from the same region, which is Pernambuco state. Frevo, it's a very interesting rhythm that normally is played by bands, like street bands, like people that play it on the streets, right? In the streets. So the basic thing about frevo is like, again, 2/4. Again, there's variations, but the main thing is one, two, one, two, one, two, one, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. Check. So. This is my own, okay? Again, like what I'm showing you is like the basic pattern for each rhythm, but this kind of stuff it's the kind of stuff that you could use in any like a real situation, you know, that's the way I would play if I would be recording in local, in any kind of environment. You can use that, you know, you can use these patterns, you know, and again, playing in the band is different than playing by yourself. So you'd have to adjust to whatever environment you're playing with. So you don't have to play the full groove on any of these rhythms. You just have to play what, like the guitar, it's basically like what we call is the instrument of centro, which is like the center, like you have but that's very appropriate and a very appropriate name, because the bass has the low range and the drums has all this like a kind of like a high. So what we do is we kind of complement like this. For instance, the bass would do like a. If you do this, it's gonna work. Of course, this is the beginning. You can add a lot of stuff regarding voicings. I'm not talking about voicings or like a different ways of comping in terms of voicings. But this is the rhythm that I want to show you. So if you have that in mind, you're gonna be safe and happy. Thanks for watching. I hope that helps on your musical journey, and see you next time.